So to conclude my review submission stream, I will be going through my entry as well. I'll be playing it. I'll talk a little bit about it. And yeah, that will be it. That's every CodeJam entry rated. It's nice to see something nice and look pretty nice presenting it, but too nice for the alleged time spent. Yeah, that's how I feel too, and I think a lot of people would agree there. So this is Hamster Planet. It was developed by myself and Moros in 9 days. You can see it was submitted 2 minutes 54 seconds before the deadline. I was just like cranking out levels like for the last 3 or 4 hours on this, so that's partly why it was submitted so late. I had to decide, okay, I have like 30 minutes left. I should probably prepare the itch.io page and stop working on my game. So I cut it pretty close, indeed. And one thing people immediately noticed, like Javid pointed out to me, like, why isn't your game actually hosted on Twitch? Because I have a button here, click to play, so it takes you to another site. And people were wondering, why does it do that? Well, one thing that Moros spent time with on my entry was working on the online leaderboards. So this page didn't exist when we submitted it for the jam. However, all the functionality for the leaderboards was there, so this was just like a bonus. But basically, when you were playing this game, every time you finish a course, it submits it to a leaderboard. And this leaderboard system is powered on my server. So one of the reasons why I put the project on my own server is because when you submit a score, it needs to know it's legitimate, right? And the only way it can produce something legitimate is through my client. We have full control over how we produce a legitimate score by providing this exact application. So if somebody else were to host this, like a game themselves, they wouldn't be able to submit because, well, it doesn't replicate what is needed to run it here. So by my server offering this thing on its own, I have full control over what people will be able to do with leaderboards. So that's partly why that exists. Yeah, so this is Hamster Planet. It's a racing game about hamsters, which hopefully it's clear that fits the theme. So when you start it up, it presents you with the loading screen because it has to like stitch together a texture of the map and like load a bunch of things. And then once you're in, well, you're racing. You have all these like little hamsters running around. And this game is actually a non-linear racing game. So what ends up happening is right now we're like following this like path. I tried to make the first few maps have like guidelines. This shows the player, okay, go this way. It gives them like a bit of direction, like a sense of direction. Oh, I want to go that way. There are these like power-ups you can get. So this is like the hamster wheel. Naturally, hamsters like to run in their wheels. So we had to include one of those. It makes you a little faster. It also gives you a little speed boost that you can use. And so when I was designing these levels, like I said, I tried to give like little guidelines, making it easy for the player to like follow and see what's going on. When you finish a race, it will simulate the rest of the race so that the other hamsters can finish. And then you get a time. So obviously I finished first, so I placed first. After introducing the player to the basic mechanics, eventually we come across this stage, and this stage is where I introduced the hamster jet. And this is where I spent a lot of my time during this entry, was implementing this hamster jet mechanic. But basically what it is it lets you take off into the sky, and then the field of view zooms out. So you can see we're now in the sky, and this was a very fun effect to make. I had a lot of fun making this happen, and the first time I took off, I was like, it was so exhilarating. It was so fun to like see that. You can control your speed when you're like flying towards the ground. It's very fun. Now this is starting from this level onward is when the game like really showed off its like non-linearity. Because you can see we're just like roaming around kind of, and we're trying to find these like checkpoints. There are 5 of them in the stage, and you have to like fly around and get to them. there's no strict order. So you can see everybody's like flying around everywhere trying to reach them. All the hamsters are doing their thing. That one ended up in the ocean, so that's funny. Speaking of the AI, when I was developing the AI for this game, I was thinking I was gonna do it one of two ways, right? Clearly you can make AI like try to figure out how to play the map, or the other way you could do it, which is what I ended up choosing, was I pre-recorded AI patterns. So what you're seeing when you're playing the game is the hamsters are running around a predetermined path. Now, funny enough, I didn't intend for this, but I accidentally left in the ability to record AI. So, I don't think anybody like mentioned this, or figured this out. But if you were to press the home key, it'll start like recording your inputs, and these get saved to a file. So you can technically alter the AI of the game if you really wanted to. This game also has a Grand Prix mode, and in the Grand Prix mode, it will run through a couple of stages in a row, and you get points as well. But yeah, I'll show you the little AI thing real quick. It's just kind of a fun little thing that I think a lot of people probably didn't notice or didn't think about. So I'll just go ahead and download my Windows entry real quick because it'll be easier to modify like the files and stuff. So just looking at the assets folder, there are all these like stage files, and they have all these like .0 through 8s behind them. Like they all have a .number extension. And these are actually the AI files. If we were to open one, we would end up with a bunch of numbers. Like if I word wrap this real quick, it's just a bunch of numbers. And this is actually all the positional data and input data that this AI will perform. So if I were to delete all the AI files for stage 1 here, and then I were to run the map or the game, oh, I should probably extract everything. Oops. The stage 1 would no longer have any AI tied to it. So we would actually, the hamsters wouldn't do anything. So I'll show that real quick. So this is the Windows build of the game. The Windows build does not, so the native builds do not have any like personal record submission. So you only get that feature with the web build. Mostly because of security things. It was going to be like a post-jam thing we worked on. So anyways, if I go to stage 1, the hamsters are all gonna just do this. Oh, that's weird. Okay, that's interesting. Did I give people a bad build of my game? Oh, that's not good. So I will say, there was something weird I noticed. I think it was, it might have actually been DragonEye, but, DragonEye posted a couple screenshots of my game of parts of levels that didn't exist. Maybe this is what they meant. This seems to be a bad build of my game. What I was seeing basically was visually everything looked right, but it was like it felt like I was running through like water tiles. So I have a feeling that something went wrong there. It's good to know that that's broken, maybe. I'm not sure why. Let me try this one real quick. This is the post-jam fixes, which just has a couple of like random bug fixes. I want to see if this one's broken too. I was not expecting that, to be honest. Let's see how this is. Okay, this one seems okay. So I will probably update that with the pre-jam build, but make sure it's not bugged, which I guess is still a post-jam build with fixes to something that didn't work pre-jam. That's interesting. Okay, anyways, what I wanted to show was if I deleted the stage 1 AI files and we were to play the game, the AI would, I believe, just go towards the corner of the map because they don't have any AI to follow. So yeah, you'll see they all just like run off, right? They're gonna run off and do their own thing. And then if I were to press the home key in the upper left corner, oh, this is cut off actually, my bad. Let me see if I can fix that. It won't affect anything if I stand still here, by the way. Do I have it cropped? Oh, I do. I didn't realize this thing was cropped the whole time. My bad. It'll say recording, so then I could like run around. I could do like pretty much whatever I want, right? And then when I'm done recording, I can actually hit the home key. So typically what I would have to do is complete the race and hit the home key. And then it lets me choose a file to save it as. There are 3 AI types: smart AI, normal AI, and dumb AI. So you can imagine when I was developing the AI, I actually like recorded a really dumb version and a really smart version. And so if I were to save this as a smart AI, I could then restart the race. And now they all do what I just did. They will use that as their guide. And so this is how I did all my AI for this game. And then they all run off into the corner because there's nothing else to do. So yeah, that was an interesting way to do it because the game was so like non-linear. There were also a few options this game had. So we had the ability to change the background music volume. It will adjust, well, how loud it is, of course. We have the sound effects sound. You also had the ability to change your name, and this was mostly just used for the leaderboard entry. So I can type in Sig and press enter, and it would submit that. Again, in the native version, there's no like online functionality, so this doesn't really do anything. We can also change our hamster color. There were 8 colors. Funny enough, when I made this, originally the blue color was not selectable. I didn't realize I had like an off by 1 on the size array. And then we have the ability to select our movement type. By default, it's which direction we press indicates which direction we move, but some folks, specifically Jev, had mentioned, hey, you gotta add micro machine style controls, which is you turn using left or right. You can go forward, backwards as well. The final thing I wanted to just show real quick was when you try to submit a bad name, it will run it through a filter, so the server will return whether that name was allowed. So if we were to type something bad, this would generally be considered a very bad thing to call someone. The name is actually rejected because the server will try to set it and it will realize, yeah, we don't allow that. So there's a couple of words in particular you could try and it won't let you. So just a nice little touch there. Additionally, when you finish races, your records are kept. So if you appear, even if you don't appear on the leaderboard, if you were say like 20th or something, it would still show like your position on the leaderboard, even though it only shows the top 10 up here. Does it accept I love C#? It does. It will. Yes. But some of these maps get pretty crazy too. The fact it was a non-linear racing game made me really think about level design in a different way. Like, what will the player do was always ending up being my question. Because sure, I had an intended like path, but you can choose to go pretty much like wherever you pleased. So once you collected like some of the easier ones, you have to figure out, okay, what else could I do to get to this? Like normally, there's one like right up here, and it's completely surrounded by lava. You could consider like flying to it, or you might go find the lava power-up and then go back to it. Like this one in particular was interesting. You could fly to this one, but you could also swim across the water because you have just barely enough time to reach it. And that could be like a potential time saver. There's also tunnels, by the way, so you can like jump into these little tunnels. That's fun too. But with all these like different environmental types, I was able to restrict certain checkpoints to require you to have to think about, oh, I could fly here, or I could use this power up to get here, or I might just walk across the water like I did. Like, there's so many possibilities. I don't have the swamp power up, so like I said, this is what makes this like very challenging to design for. It's like, okay, I could grab this, but I'm gonna sink in this swampy area. So, but I was still able to grab the checkpoint, which means I completed it. But now I'm like, I have to go back and find the other ones myself. It's like, I personally didn't really know what to do with the level design for like half the jam, because I'm just like, it's a non-linear racing game. What do I do? So it's kind of interesting that there is a hamster jet, but it's like way over here. And yeah, so these levels get really complex. And just make you have to like explore and figure out what the heck you're trying to do. Actually, I think it's around the... Uh-oh. I don't even know anymore. You can easily get very lost in these. I think it's down here, actually. But yeah, clearly everybody else finished. I am being very slow. There is a fire power-up. I think it's inside fire, last I remember. Oh yes, it is. So, unfortunately, with this, your water mirror doesn't go down. It's actually a mistake or a bug. And so you will just, like, immediately drown when you go back. Yeah, hoverboard helps to scan the map. So, what I tried to do was make it so once you obtained one, you can kind of look around and be like, oh, now I can plan for this. There was one person that suggested adding a minimap. I think that is a good idea. I tried to do that a little bit with the radar thing, but I kind of didn't have time to make an actual, like, map based on the map type of deal. That would have been a nice bonus. Or maybe, like, previewing the stage ahead of time could help you, like, strategize a little better. There's always lots of things we wouldn't incorporate, right? But we can't sometimes. So now that I have the swamp power-up, now I can go get that fire power-up, and then I can go get that checkpoint I'm missing, and then I can finish the race. Yes. I forgot, there is a way to get to that thing. I'm pretty sure. I forget how. Oh, I know how. You grab this, you go back up there, you go through the tunnel, to the other side, you can grab a hamster jet there, or you can, you can also grab a fire power-up over here. Yeah, this is where it takes you, so. It's funny, too, that the tunnel system is a little janky, because it will cause you to drown in the middle of it. Okay, I mean, I grabbed it. This is fine, I can grab the hamster jet again. Sorry, I just burned my hamster to a crisp. How do I make the yes. So that clamp flag I mentioned to you is precisely that. This is just a repeating cloud texture. So it's actually got a couple layers in it, you could see. This effect was very... It took me some time to like wrap my head around how I wanted to do this. Originally, I thought I was just going to use the transform view PegX like normal because it has like scaling in and out. But then I realized I actually needed a 3D engine. So then my mind turned to the 3D PegX and I spent a majority of my time making it so everything's actually 3D. It reminds me of how like Pokemon games in like the Nintendo DS era had like larger sprite. It had that like 3D 2D effect, right? Rip hamster. Yeah, the radar is very useful for just seeing, oh yeah, there's this over here, there's this over here. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot. There were a lot of mechanics going on for this game, so I didn't have quite a lot of time, but I spent a lot of that time on that 3D aspect. So basically every 2D image you see in this game is actually projected into 3D space. And so we have a 3D camera looking down on 2D flat plane rectangles, essentially, triangles. And that was a very interesting thing I had to implement. But like I said, the first time taking off in this game, it's just like, that's such a cool effect. I absolutely love it. that was like the highlight of my development for sure. I had a lot of fun making this one, so it seems like a lot of people enjoyed it too, so I'm glad they did. Yeah, it's just when I saw Run, like I said, there were a couple of other ideas I had, but I ended up just I was thinking about like hamsters at the time, so then I thought, oh, Hamtaro's pretty cute, and then I kind of went off that. Thank you. I'm glad folks enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun making. And I'm glad Moros got to help me with the networking part as well. It's just a nice little bonus thing, but it worked out pretty well because he was able to focus on that. It wasn't necessarily related to the game as a whole, so we didn't have to really like work on combining game ideas or anything. I could just focus on making the game. He could focus on making the networking aspect. At first, we had more ambitious goals, such as trying to incorporate live multiplayer. That would have been like the ideal, right? The thing is like you could play with other people. That's obviously going to be a future thing we could work on, because this could easily be a multiplayer racing game. The other thing I wanted to really see was like not only having the leaderboards here, but having sorry, I lost train of thought. Well, actually, we ended up having that. We ended up having like some kind of like leaderboard system. So that actually got included, not on Jam release, but we at least have that available as like a external website thing. So that's awesome too. Yeah. Moros put in good work as well, so make sure to give him a shout out as well. He makes some awesome stuff. The game was used the mini audio PegX, which is just a godsend for playing sounds and stuff. And with that, I think I've covered everything for OLC CodeJam 2024. Right, yeah. We didn't want to really have a registration system. It's just something that makes things a little difficult, and it's one more barrier to entry, right? The more barriers in the way, the less people want to try things, especially for a game jam. We don't want to have people be like, oh, I have to register to play, that's weird, or I have to register to submit. So we just try to avoid that. It's all in good faith, it's all in good fun. The local client does track your personal times, so even if you submit times under a different name, at least locally on your client, it's not going to identify you or suddenly like Javid or something. So a lot of good fun went into that one.